Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a little bit later than usual. It's a little extra test for Hullrot today. I am operating on not much sleep at all, but I am here. At least for a little bit. I mean, I hope I can get a good fight in with the um Hyperwar today, and then just probably fall asleep afterwards. That's likely what's going to end up happening. But let me quickly get onto the actual server. Here we go. Alright. Opening it up. Now, okay. So I'm gonna tell you one thing real fast, okay? Pasta is a fantastic food. A good meal of pasta is so fantastic. The carbs, it's going to put me to sleep immediately after I eat it, but god damn. Especially if you pair it with a nice red meat sauce as and some Italian sausage with it. Oh, amazing. Good every time. Mm-hmm. I'm now just going to idly spin the entire little thing while I wait for a stamp. Game to open, please. I beg you. Open the game. Open the game. Imagine the server just dies as soon as I hop into the game. I have to wait for rules. Let me actually move over to the main screen here. Should pop up. Yep, here we go. Alright, let me read some rules here. I donated to your Patreon. How can I claim my rewards? You may contact Aisha on Discord. You know, the spinning facts, the spinning facts. I forgot to get my chat ready. Where did my phone go? Okay, it's going to be very jank today, but that's fine. Ooh, let me make sure my chat is actually going with a text-to-speech. You can do fuck rules and consoles to bypass this. Oh, indeed, wait.
You
Okay.
don't need to wait.
Good to know. I'll have to remember that. Hold on, let me just have insufficient poems for command. Oh, what the hell? Who am I? Who is this? Who the hell? And there's only 21 people online. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Hyperwar database.
Hyperwar database indeed. Wait. Can you still do... I had to look. I had to.
DSMVSNCWL so.
I presumed as much. Let's make
Nobody else spells.
SV. Svit? Inya. There you go. I always have to think for a moment on how to actually spell the name. Okay. Dude. Like, that's almost right. Something like that. Okay. You make this as fast as possible, before the round actually starts. Actually, wait, I should be able to, should have a save. Let me quickly check my files. Do. Did I actually make an export of the character? Please tell me. But hell, Stargazer 2. There we go. Okay, almost. Perfect. Got that all going. Traits. I have the... Okay. What do I have traits for here today? Do I have speech? I don't. That's fine. Sure. Alright, I won't worry about it too much. Okay. And I should be ready just like that. Alright. That didn't take too long to do, and we still have 4 minutes left to yap, I suppose?
Said, and lo, your audience shall be comprised of she players.
Probably. It probably will be comprised of she players. I mean, I'm gonna let anyone who wants to watch the stream watch the stream. If anything, these just act as a nice way to have...
the she-licensed VTuber we deserve.
The corporate VTuber we all deserve. But yeah, this is mostly a thing of if you can't join in the round, I like having this stream here so people can still figure out what happened in the round instead of just looking in the Discord for 2 hours after the fact. Ah, man. You can boot into my tracking screw up.
Said, I like watching back Kino moments.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's half the reason VODs exist, huh? Speaking of VODs, I need to cram a bunch of the most recent VODs together, and because my most recent VODs have been like one round only, I need to put a few of them together.
Watch the Stern v Sunder fight from last host was peak.
I was putting in an effort on that fight. And I'm sure that y'all on the Stern itself had fun seeing the other side. So, I mean, that's what streaming this video game is good for, right? If only there were more people who were streaming it. If only. It would be really funny if another person started streaming Hullrot, so I could fight against them and then afterwards put like side by side our streams and like the different POVs. That would be super cool. Alright, let's look at the manifest. Okay, a good amount of New Crescent Workers League. Fun, and not a lot of Divine Soul mandates.
Loading the Stearns 320. You came so close to making me bail out of the room.
Hell yeah. Well, I am glad my effort to try to shoot down the middle of the ship, you started feeling it.
MIKA10095 said, DSM dead.
DSM does seem to be a bit dead, yeah.
Dasnanavihu verification said, oh Lord, give me strength to escalate violence, courage to shoot any dog that barks at me, and wisdom to turn off my body camera.
MVD peaked. I also need the MVD officer stretch coat. Very good. I have the home guard webbing. I want the courier bag. Eye patch, good. Anything else I need? I thought about the violin for a second. I really did. Alright, we're good. We are ready. I can see in the chat. Oh lord, that's so many NCWL. We'll see how this goes, especially since the special like modifier for this Hyperwar round is 2x speed on all ships. We'll see if everything explodes, especially since projectile speeds has not been updated. So I want to see if there's going to be a
10095 said, DSM got dog ship guns right now.
I want to see if
zero change.
I want to see if
said, I can't wait to fly into my own bullets.
Into the own bullets. It's true. I am a union worker. Okay, I guess I'm a union worker. That's fine. did not expect to become a union worker today. That's different. Alright, well, let's union worker it up then, eh? Okay, let's get a MRE box for all of our tools. Yummy, yummy. Okay. We need to get all of this out. Put these in, save a little bit on space. Okay, now that I've done that, put that on my hip. Kane will put it in the webbing in a moment. This off. Webbing on. Kane book in. This can be on this side. What's actually in here? Breath mask, we don't need that. Let's see, man. Let's take that out. That out. Don't need that. Water bottle is useful. Let's get rid of that. And how much do we have left? Enough space, we can just put it out. Very good. Look at that. Now, okay. Let's read out about what's going on in the chat here. What's that? Group suicide pact. Missed. Try again. Alright. Okay, so now we need to put this in a bag. A lovely, jovely handheld mask gainer and jetpack. I was thinking about mini jetpack, but let's go for the full thing right now. Yes. Okay, very good. Here we go. Here we have the War Vendor, the good old staple of this mode, where you have all of these guns for free, ready to go. What do we want here? There's so many options. Ooh, Breaching Hammer, hell yeah. Okay. I mean, oh, there's a billion Hades. Okay, I guess I'll grab a Hades. Hyperwar it is. Let's go crazy. Stimulant micro injector. Yep. Give me 2 of those. Okay, right in here. I want it. Now let's figure out what actual weapon we want. What weapon do we want? Hammerhead smart missile launcher. That is kind of funny to grab. What is the deal with a Lancer? I have no idea. I am an NCWL main, so I do not know what all of these she weapons do. But I'm interested. Sorry, 470? .470. High quality pulse sniper rifle designed by Wu-Tan Industries, a Shinohara subsidiary. Wow. Oh? Get a Huristov instead? That is kind of funny. Huristov. A Bargeist. Now, there was a joke on one of my first streams here. I was given a Bargeist that was renamed to VTuber's Bestest Bargeist and was put in my hands. It would be kind of funny to call back that. Why not? I'll grab it. We'll do the Bargeist. Well, the Bargeist clone anyway. 12.7 by 99. Okay, 12.7 by 99. Heavy. Shotguns are good. I just haven't messed with this Bargeist in so long. I want it. Now, do we want an EMP grenade? I feel like we might want that. There's a decent chance of a mech being around. Whoopsie, I don't want to grab that. In fact, let's go say hi to the mech real quick. Sure, it should be right over here in the docks, remember correctly. Yes, here it is, Lancer. Multi-tool, I believe I have that in my MRE. Boink. This in here. This is kind of evil. A Mark III Hades inside of the mech suit. That is pretty evil. Join my Sasha. Okay. It's better. Alright. I think. We'll make it so. Thing is, okay, hold on. Most of our new ships sucks. Alright. Got massacred. Glorious.
Das Nanabahuberification said, let's do ET.
What? Say that again? Just let's do ET. Don't actually know what that is referring to. I will be completely honest. Need to put this here. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay, next up, let's figure out our full loadout. Did I hear a boom? Breaching charges grenade. Ooh, that's pretty good. Do I just want more 12x7? I suppose so. 12.7, dude, and dude. I guess I could drop one mag for more crash. Okay. I have no idea if these have a negative effect together, but we'll figure it out, I suppose. Actually, let's get some of these instead. I don't know, actually. Mech and Knight injector gun. Alright, and we have our standard combat meds in here. We can always grab a little bit more, so why don't we? That's the wrong one. Would you like to be a remnant? A remnant. Is this a special antagon like Goob or something that I do not know? Because I do not recognize the word remnant.
Wyatt1016 said, he's gonna send you to hell.
To hell. To hell. I mean, that does sound kind of funny.
Probably.
Does sound kind of funny.
it's anything like what Eris does to me, then it's gonna be one hell of a time.
Alright. Yeah. Oh, that's what I'll say. Okay. We have that, Angry NT boards. Ah. Hmm. I do like evil ass NT. Okay. Yeah. I'll put myself in the corner of this space here, and you can put me into a remnant, I suppose, over wherever you need to send my consciousness. Do I need to ghost or anything? Well, I'll just put myself in this corner. Out of sight, out of mind. Sorry, Enma, it seems the admins have new plans for me. Nice. How many people do we have on? Of course. We have 28 people online currently. 28 people online. Not as much. Oh, here we go. We're bound to silicone laws. Very good. I have friends. Lovely to hear. Okay, let's look at my laws real quick. Oops. Okay. You may not injure a syndicate agent or an action that allows syndicate agent to come on. Yeah. Okay, very good. Now, module, syndicate jaws of life. I have that. Very good. Welder. So I can weld myself too. That's kind of wild. Jetpack and that. So I'm assuming swap module. Okay.
Slow as fuck.
Oh wow. Okay, that's energy sword. This is. Wow. Okay. That.
Least
Now how?
Place cyborg charger.
So I just press X to change. Understood. Oh, look at this! Radiant Fulgar and Auto Scouts.
Oh damn.
Wow. Okay.
Full fleet.
So there is a force. I presume the admins are doing this because there isn't a lot of DSM players. I suppose, maybe. I have to assume so. Okay, so talking computer, can I actually open this? If I do that, I suppose, yes. Okay. So we have Rim Wards, Jeongs, black screen turrets, and pressure gatling. Boy, that is a lot of high-tech stuff that as a NCWL main, I have no clue. But I mean, we'll fucking do what we can. We'll do what we can, eh? Okay, I feel like I need to do a slight change to the atmosphere with my model. So let me quickly open this up, go to settings. Okay, give me just a moment.
Mildly spooky.
Now if I go to here, close that, done. Close that. Alright, there we go. I'm a little bit more spooky over in the corner. Oh, okay. What else we have? Radar computer. Open this up. Boop. Getting a little bit further out. That is, yeah, 3.5 away. Understood. IFF is, I'm assuming. Okay, off. Definitely. All console. Alright. We're piloted at the moment. Yup. Okay. Does move. What are these buttons here? I have no idea. Ah, so we're by empty. The countsman is there. Actually, by the countsman. Oh. Oh, they are like right there. Holy hell. I did not realize how close together this was going to be. Alright, well let's take a sneak peek real quick, huh? What do we have on the field currently? We have one Sasha and one Vanguard versus two Redemptors, an Ibis, and a Suzerain. I'm assuming both will build up a little bit more, but we'll see how that goes. Okay. Assuming explore the ship a little bit more. Ammo tech fab, cool. Assuming with all the stuff, yeah. No materials, that's fine. Oh wow, look how spooky the ship is. It's so cool. Yummy. Alright, okay. Bunch of board chargers. Ballistic turrets. Aluminum? I mean, I suppose. Oh, no, okay. So we do have equipments to reload with. Good to know. Can I actually interact with it?
I don't think you need your light here.
That's so true. Okay. Wow. So if I need to shoot 9 and then X, then go back. Or melee is 0. Alright. I'll need to remember that on the fly. We'll see if I actually do so. That is if avoided. Oh, we are in the abyss. Okay, cool. I can dig it. I can dig it. I'm assuming this is with old...
Also, instead of having to open that context menu on the board charger, I think you could have used E on it.
E on it. Well, I'll take a peek real quick. Let's see if that works.
Or whatever your interact key is bound to.
E. Oh, okay, that does work. I am going to need to remember that for everything in the future. What do we have in here? Okay, not bonus stuff. We have a shield generator, okay. A marauder? Oh, please. This can't work.
Marauder?
Okay. There was a moment I thought that would work and I was afraid. Okay, wow. Interesting. Do we have only these comms? I'm unsure. Do we have... Is Syndicate around? I don't know what Syndicate would be.
Clearly this is meant for an actual Nanotricen crew and not a fucked in the budget Nanotricen Borgs.
True. Nanotricen is long dead though, so I mean... Can't really blame them for that. Wow, that's a lot of survey data. Okay. Let me recharge real quick. Alright. Close that. Emma Grishengrad never existed. It is a hallucinatory sheep propaganda from the General Major. Alright, did Emma just get lynched on the station? Emma, I think you are in the chat. Can you tell me, did you get murdered? Or Mika, whichever one you prefer in this case.
Mika 10095 said, I murdered myself.
Ah, I see. Fair enough.
Wyatt1016 said, funniest shit dog.
God, I
Nuka10095 said, I got asked to be a robust anti-remnant.
Oh yeah.
Wyatt1016 said, time to NCWL it.
This is.
I hope they
Oh,
ask me to remnant.
I am a little worried that we are just going to steamroll. I don't know what the capabilities of this is going to be, especially since if I am looking at this correct, we have classic Geongs on our side with ammo to spare, as well as Rimwards, and I presume other things against the remapped ships of the NCWL and DSM. I have the distinct feeling we are going to do a lot of damage. DSM moving, those are good. Let's make sure these are loaded. Early shots, we have Geongs. Okay. Do these remnants have an objective here, or are we just going to murder everyone? What is the idea? Decided that's the purpose of an A-help, huh? Alright. Our swarmer drones are gone. Okay. Fair enough. This one started moving. Okay. Hold on. Let's open the targeting computer on the side. Protect each other. Fair enough. Can I not use the targeting computer at the same time too? Okay, I will have to balance both. And protect nanotracer. Alright, and do we have a nanotracer asset here? Oh wow, they sure are moving out. Okay. Alright. Love NT. Long stand. Long stand. To the day my. Alright, there we go. So we are to protect each other and protect nanotracer. Okay. Empty is not a station. That's good to know. I don't know what bits of the ship fell off, but they did. We have powerful shields. Very good weaponry. Okay. Announcement is there. DSM are forming up to attack Balreska. No activity over there. War declared. Understood. We are to protect nanotracer assets by all means, as is our code. Alright. Okay, I'm assuming they are fighting actively now. I think we should intervene. If they aren't going to just slowly drift towards. Gather at the assets. Where are assets? Okay, does Balreska or any of these ships have anything I could reasonably point out as being nanotracer built? Fuck. I am unsure. Good question. Okay. What's the best law up here? We could make an announcement. ESM is moving at us, is that true? Okay. Yes. ESM hostile. Okay, let's go. Our IFF is off. Okay. Moving is at full freeze. Switch over. Plasma blaster. Actually, just all. Shoot. There we go. That's the good damage. Okay. Move. Flank the ibis. Hold. Ibis seems to be disabled. We'll give a quick burst into it. Make sure. Okay, one flak just into it in case of borders. No, we're good. Okay. Change target. Right into the suzerain. Okay. Back up. Switch. Shoot all towards DSM. Specifically, they shot first.
Pausing stream.
Pausing
I
stream.
have battle matters to attend to.
Okay, good luck. Hopefully the entire bit of friendly fire is not due to me. The aim is a little funky on these. Okay. Have I seen shots from the Sasha into our friendly asset yet? I'm watching because I haven't seen it specifically yet. What else do we have? The Deer Clementine is around. Okay. WL marked. On the field. Okay. Protect our guy here, eh? Oh, the Clementine is moving there. Okay. All fire forward. Come on. Okay. Here we go. Here's where the real fight is going to start. Okay, that's down. Move over to this, and we are going to fire all the missiles we can into it. Into its side, if we can. I want to break the Deer Clementine in half. There we go. Great damage. Okay, let's back up on Port Valeska before we get shot at more. And turn all of this off. Okay, there we go. Hell yeah. I have no idea how much damage that did, but I'm sure it was enough to hurt bad. Okay, I'm going to back off. Slow down. So we're just drifting, and I need to reload. Wait, can I even drag? I don't think I can. Yeah, we need human people for that. Okay. I mean, that is the largest threat. I'm happy with that. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, good shots, good shots. Okay, back to this. All... There we go. Look at those. That's the good shots. Okay. I'm not sure why they are ramming, but we'll keep moving. I still have my shield up. I need to get in front of here, stop that crossfire. Oh god, don't get hit. But I need to shield my friend here, protect another nanotracer asset, eh? Okay. Where's that coming from? I do not know. Let's go investigate it. Okay. 3, moving. All. Fire in that direction. Just give it a good spread. Could be a stealth ship. I have no idea. Give it a nice good spray. Okay. Well, what is still active? Okay. Let's figure out what is still active. I'm not seeing any movement of a ship moving south a lot. Olga is inoperable. We are good from this other one. Okay. Alright, they are being shot at with flak. Okay. Oh boy. Oh, EMP? Potentially. Oh, I see. Ow. Wow, that really puts you quick, huh? Oh shit. You know, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Okay. I got a little bit too eager there. I completely deserve what happened. So deserved. Who is alive? Let's take a look at the dear Clementine, see what happens to it. Okay, okay. Oh. Oh my god. You know, I'm starting to think throwing all those rockets into the Clementine was a good idea. Oh? Oh, on the dear Clementine. Okay, that's not a big deal. Let's see how the rest of us are doing. Them. Oh, they're on the Radiant. Still in the fight. Largest combat ship, so I'd hope so. Okay, Bodega is being torn apart. As it should be, as it should be. Next one, okay? Fine, fine. Cool and cool. Alright. Well, I am happy to see that the largest nanotracer asset ship is still alive. That is a mission accomplished as far as I'm concerned. Did huge damage. Uh-huh. Let's take a peek at the suzerain here. Ooh, wow, okay. There was a boarding team going on, as well as nano-racing assets on board. There's gonna be a scrap. Ooh, okay, one Imperial down, though there is a DSM mech operational, though it is EMP'd, still moving. They are still here. Oh, I'm watching. Do me proud, NCWL. Oh, shots out from Reynald. Not dead though, they are still operational. Okay, mech is destroyed. They are out. Reynald is still hopped up on drugs and moving. Reynald is down! Mitsubishi is still charged and going. Is that the suzerain cleared? It looks like it. Mitsubishi no Kenichi did very well. Wow. Oh, Nalumia. Hold on. They do still have some opposition. A house of questions. Someone, in fact. Okay, they do have the light on. You can see that. They know. Fight. Oh, and that's when they finally fall to the house of questions. How apt for the faction. Okay. Next up, Port Alaska has been attacked by the Syndicate Assault Borg, and at least one person has died in the attempt to fight them. I'm assuming multiple more in order to get here. Yes, Damien Ward is down. They are responding, at least. Okay, they do not know where the Borg is, though. Okay, another NCWL soul is dead. Now it seems. Be well done. Okay. Wow. And I'm assuming another soul. Hell Johnson dead once again. Oh, friendly fire. Okay. There are 2 Syndicate Assault Borgs on board. Okay. The NCWL at this point in the fight, I believe, are incredibly disorganized, and I believe this will be the end of the NCWL here. I do not know the full status of the Countsman, but I have to assume it is not great. Okay, let's check on the other side of Alaska, see if there is any opposition to what is going on here. Is my body still up in the corner? Yep. Okay, one soul alive. Are they dead? No. Okay. Right. Okay, they are pushing forward once again. Wow.
I was the one that wrecked you and your shuttle.
Well done. Very well done, I mean.
Cora 296. In the bridge.
Hell yeah. I was very worried with the Balweska guns, and
Where the Cindy
once you
are.
yeah, once you started chewing me up, you got me good. Well done. Yeah, I mean, here. It seems at this point, the Baleska's guns were the only chance you had. Because these nanotrace ships are crazy strong right now. I mean, I get they are remnants and it is old tech, but god damn.
I shot the shit out of an anti-Borg with a Mako and they still stood.
Borgs are pretty fucking insane. Yes, indeed.
Verification said, BTWY Balreska has a charger for Borgs.
Wyatt 1016 said, like I saw their
they
spike
have
go
a
vertical or horizontal or whatever and they got back up.
Port Baleska has a cyborg charging station because they have this little area here, which is supposed to be for robotics and mechs. And also, they are, like, supposed to be able to do trade with She in order to get mechs, which is why you want these Borgs. So, I can see why, but it is a little bit weird, I can agree with you. Now, let's check on the Countsmen. Let's see how they are faring. The Countsmen unscathed?
Verification said,
so.
But there's not a single mech charger on Belriska.
Yeah.
Or in the game.
Okay. Let's take a quick peek at each ship, do a status report. This Ibis is disabled. Redemptor disabled. Redemptor disabled. Suzerain disabled, but with a presence on board. It seems like only one sold though. Bodega also disabled. Bodega out of power, but it seems it's also abandoned. Another Bodega disabled with another stealth, with one of our nanotrace ships here disabled. The Dear Clementine, we already took a peek over here. I believe a nanotrace Borg was here for a little bit. It's been absolutely cored out, I presume by me and my missiles. Mulat, how's it going? It is destroyed as well. Sasha, destroyed. Sasha, wait, hold on, what? Did I see a beheaded Leo King? Oh, hi. Okay. Another destroyed Sasha. A very destroyed Sasha. And one more Vanguard also destroyed. Alaska has been notified as a threat. I request the Radiant to come near for pickup. Presume, yes, I am still disabled here. And I'm still here. Brother, do you see me in the corner down here? Look at me, this pink-ass, alien, fluffy creature. And answer your own question. Why am I LGBTQ? It's a mystery.
Yeah, like manliest man.
Okay. Seems we have a hostage here. I'm sorry, what? I do ooh-ah-ee? Huh? I'll leave the mag, that's whatever, that's fine. Okay, we have 3 active Syndicate Borgs on Baleska. I am not present, of course, because I am dead, as it were. Wow, I can't believe Nanotracing finally came back as the active presence in the sector. Maybe they'll be added to the full game. I don't think so, but you know. If Nanotracing was a full role, it would be 2 roles. Now it'll be Shipfuck 1 and Shipfuck 2, and they operate 1 ship, and they are a rogue asset. That's what Nanotracing would be in the full game.
You are literally pure-blooded muscle jack ultra dwarf, eats only meat and wrestles chuds. Chuds as in Russian folklore mystery wood beasts.
I can see it. I mean,
Wyatt 1016 said,
this being in the middle of the Siberian frozen wasteland happens upon a log cabin to a drunk as hell Russian on incredible amounts of vodka. I could see how that can become folklore mystery wood beast. I can see it, especially with these glowing eyes in the corner. Kinda spooky if you're drunk as hell. I can see it. Now what I see here? Changes in anti-remnant sapiens patterns discovered. Exercise caution. Well, kind of already did with their programming, as it were. Okay, let's check back on the... Oh! I guess you want gold? Check back on these countsmen.
Verification said, and fights Siberian Psi influences of radioactive pines of Siberia.
Oh, only the classics here. I'm seeing damage. The countsman is under fire by a Nanotrazen asset. Okay, they are cleaning up both Baleska and the countsman. However, the countsman is manned by a small contingent. 1, 2, I count souls. 3, if you count this person here. Okay, they are actively responding to the Nanotrazen threat. It seems the Nanotrazen ship has been heavily damaged. The shield is down. There they go. The countsman's weapons are doing well effect on the Nanotrazen remnants with 1 soul aboard. Rad 2. Oh, 2 souls aboard. Wouldn't you know? Okay, power seems to be blinking out, although the AME shielding is still intact in the middle of the ship. But DSM on the countsmen are taking losses due to the fire of the... Not sure what the ship make is. It is still anyone's fight here, as they are taking some sprays down from the bottom of the map. Let's take a quick peek back over on Baleska for a status report. We have major damage to the right side.
And prevailing on all evil.
Okay, it seems the bridge just took a... Oh no, the secondary bridge. The main bridge in the center of the countsman is still operational. However, there are good damage to the outside of the ship.
Said,
you see?
That is in fact an invalid.
It is. Alright, so we...
Verification said, nada.
Some of the... Oh, the shields have returned. Countsman disabled. They say the countsman is disabled,
scientifically not
but...
possible.
Scientifically not possible. Okay. Zoom light back in. Alright. Let's count... Oh? Opening back on fire. They have just learned that the countsman is not, in fact, fully disabled. Let's take a peek back over on the Nanotrazen ship, see the damage. Alright, they have sustained damage to part of their AME. They are... getting the hell out of Dodge. They have ditched the Nanotrazen ship, and they are just 2 lone Borgs with a nuclear fission explosive moving towards the countsman at a slow speed. However, PD is attempting to make work of the 2 forsworn Nanotrazen Borgs. Will the countsman be able to take out this threat before the nuclear fission explosive will be planted on top of the countsman? Who can guess? Countsman is making best speed away with the recent jetpack nerfs on the server here. It seems that the Borgs are going to be left in the dust. Okay. Seems one of the Nanotrazen Borgs were disabled, but the important one, the one with the nuclear fission explosive at the center of most Nanotrazen stations back in the day, is still going to be a consistent, lingering threat towards the countsman. If the countsmen don't pay attention in the next little bit of the round that's left, they are going to be dealing with a very nasty surprise. I'm not sure if we will get a second round, but it would be nice to have. I would appreciate it. Okay, we'll take a quick break away from the Nanotrazen explosive. Oh, and that's the round. The round has ended. I would call that a very strong Nanotrazen victory. Although the Nanotrazen attacked Baleska first and destroyed most of the assets at the start of the round, while the DSM were crippled and most of the forces defeated, the main asset, the countsman itself, survived enough to thwart the Nanotrazen Borgs at the clock of 49 minutes and 48 seconds. all of these lovely players did a fantastic job playing along.
Said, that
Absolutely. That was a good board round. Well, that was very refreshing. Oh, here we go. Round is called a vote. Second round? I would like so.
I was Rem 1.
Well done, well done. Okay, so I can tell you this.
I killed most of NCWL's ships.
Well done. I will say this much. This is probably going to become a video. With how short it is, I can very easily edit this
Also
down
did
into
the
something
friendly
very
fire
fun.
incident.
Also did a friendly fire incident. I see. I presume you got spooked by the...
said, once again, I was core at 296.
Core at 296. So, in between the rounds here, I'm going to do a short ad break. The only reason for this is I don't want y'all to have to watch ads while you first click into the video. So just bear with me for a little bit. There's going to be a few ads.
Commandeer the guns again.
Oh yeah, the Port Balaresca defense guns are a massive asset. And if there's no one on them, it can really swing a fight in such a tight fight like this.
That ship you were aboard ate massive shit, bro.
Oh yeah. Once those shields dropped, it was over. Absolutely.
Especially since you caused all this in the first place.
I like to think me dying there helped that damage the ship that was mixed with the bodega to survive with some of the flak that I soaked up with it.
Ship.
Yeah.
And killed it too.
I don't know if I killed another nanotranscend ship. I'll have to rewatch the footage. I might have fucked up with the weird aiming on the consoles here. I'm going to quickly do a little bit of self-promotion back in the Hullrot Discord.
Mika10095 said, no, that was me.
I fired on the other remnant ship.
With the Radiant.
Fired on the other ship with the remnant.
Said, oh, there was.
Oh, wow. Okay, hold on. Let me take a quick sip of water.
I fired upon 2 ships.
Fired upon 2 ships. I
don't know.
I do not know how many souls were aboard the Dear Clementine. What I do know, though, is the St. Clementine was active, and I dumped my entire Jeong and heavy missile load into the nasty side of the thing with its shield down. So, I don't know what would have happened if I did not do that.
Said, the Clem didn't do much NGL.
The Clementine did not do much, but I also...
Anyways, I'm gonna send this fella a friend request.
On times, I...
10095 said,
hold on for a moment.
Massive aura loss.
I do get that. At the same time, I also nuked the hell out.
So I proceeded to immediately commandeer the guns as a Cinderborg and gun the shit out of the Clementine.
It's the biggest target. I don't blame you for it. I mean, yeah. If you try to board, you will almost certainly be rammed into a wall's inside. Do not do it. Okay. Are there going to be more T-Rem remnants? And should I spawn in the round or ghost if I want to play them? A smiley face. There we go.
0095 said, no remnants.
No remnants? I see remnants right in the current game mode up here. No anti-remnants. Okay, fair enough. It is a lie. It is a lie. subs. Commissar 8 is high.
Remnants are
Partisan
spawned
low.
manually.
Got it. Alright, well, I am going to join back with the NCWL. I might as well. And let me quickly return my little fluffy self in the corner here.
Shame I didn't get to set off the nuke on Countsman.
That would have been very cool. That would have been a fantastic end. But alas, the Countsman was smart and they moved the hell away. I can't blame them for that, you know.
Right as I input the code.
MIKA10095 said, I'll go play some Hunt Showdown, have a good round 2.
Alright, thank you for joining. If you can, feel free to just leave the stream open, I'll be around.
Also just realized the Radiant was 100% G controlled.
Yeah.
WYATT1016 said, New Crescent Workers League.
New Crescent Workers League.
Mika 10095 said, another she victory.
Another she victory.
Locomodoka said, she major, as usual.
Bit of fiddling around, I got it, I'll back off.
Wyatt 1016 said, fake boyaks.
Big boinks. Huge amount of boinks. Also, I accepted your friend request on Discord. Besties forever. Alright, another sip of water before the round starts. Boy, going into these rounds here, I was very tired. I did not think I was going to be having this much fun in the short little Hyperwar rounds here, but so I am. Anything fun in the chat here? Let's take a quick peek. I just got good trained with that boink. It's true. You become good trained with the boinks almost immediately after you start playing Space Station 14. Whether you hear it or not, you know the importance of that sound. Hellcat dipped, so it's going to be just router. That's fine. On a crew and a suzerain. Alright. Let's take a quick peek at the manifest, see what we have for today. Okay. A lot more Divine Soul Mandate spawning first, but we do have a healthy amount of partisans spawning in for the new Crescent Workers League. That's fine. I can approve of that. Now, while we do have the lovely drip of the MVD, for specifically this Hyperwar, I'm going to be changing out of that into the Mark III suit, because there is no reason why you should not take the very nice suit over the very fashionable officer's trench coat. You know, it just looks so good. But it doesn't protect as well as a Hades suit. Always. Oh, who do we have here? Hey, got a minute? Ha. Man, imagine if Aircat came out of the side of the screen and promoted VTubers on Twitch. Imagine if that happened. That would be crazy. I wouldn't be able to believe it. Alright. Maybe it will. Does love bloom in Taipan? Does love bloom in a Hyperwar round? I didn't die to the Onslaught Borgs, you know? I can approve of that. Love blooms in Taipan. Don't worry, if you haven't had love bloom to you in Taipan, you simply haven't tried hard enough. Just try hard more and someone will be out there for you. If someone puts a bounty on your head, just check who set the bounty. That's your person, okay? There you go. Wicklerman asking for a delay to the round start. I'm trying to play Space Marines too. Alright, if there's a little delay for Wicklerman over there, I'm going to have to force you to watch a lovely little bit of Scrandal. What do you think about Scrandal? Has anyone in the chat heard of Scrandal before? I can tell you, probably not as good as Hyperwar, but we might just have to. Let's see, we are going to delay for a minute if Router calls it out here. I'll have 1 minute to do Scrandal. Have to be a speed round. Look, it's been delayed for 20 seconds. We need to go. Google Capture. Okay, here we go. Scrandal, load, play daily. Okay, quick, we gotta go. Chicken club sandwich. I lost. Okay, keep going. Chicken wings. Very good. Not the mincemeat pie. I don't like the peas. This one. There we go. Okay, we're 2 for 3. It's 2 for 1. This one, Hog Wild, absolutely, from USA, Pure City. And that's all we got for today on this Scrandal. Fair enough. Back to the game. Oh, nope, I was baited by the sounds. I mean, fair enough. Here we go. I am a... Hell yeah. Okay, first, close bold. We exist here. Put this in there. That on my belt. Book of Cain. Take this off. Put this on. Toggle the Book of Cain. Get some lovely messages. Get that going for everyone. Anyone taking it in here? Okay, here we go. Now we can keep moving. We just throw this out. We don't need that. Cane there. Very good. Now let's get a MOE box with our tools. Actually, we don't have tools. We can get tools though. Okay. Alright, let's move with some haste, please. Okay, while we are moving. Q. Put this in our sidebar. Move down here to engineering. Hello, I need crowbar, welding tool, wire cutter, wrench, screwdriver, and a multi-tool. Bring this in, boink boink, boink boink. And there we go. Now let's see if we have the war thing. Yes, we do. Fantastic. Let's get our inventory sorted out. What do we want? Plenty of options. Actually, not a lot of options. Here we go. Here's the real thing. A Wistov would be kind of funny. But I think I'm gonna go with the Bar Guys meme once again. Alright, Bar Guys with the 12.6, 12.7. Put that in here. Alright, and now I need a bunch of Mech and Knight injector gun. One. Get just a couple of those. Come on, one more. Gimme. Nope, that's not mine. There we go. Now I also need a Hades. Give me. Take off this, put this on. take off the helmet, and then we are cooking with gas. Put this back on. And close bowl to make sure it is always closed, otherwise you'll scream. Oh man. Got here a bunch of stuff, including a clementine. Hell yeah. Very cool. Let's get our mech sorted. It's going to be over here. Okay, we need a multi-tool to open it, then we can just pop in the gun and get going. There we go. In. Enter. Start moving. Okay, we have Core 296 back on the Port Baleska guns once again. Love to hear it. Okay. Heaven Cat 67 Union Captain. Amazing. I can't fault it that much. Okay, now we need a jetpack and our mass scanner. Cancel mass scanner. And jetpack. I do not believe we will survive long enough to require a GPS, and it also seems to be all very close together, so we won't worry about that. Ooh, shooting the wall. What we can get is more combat drugs to fit in here. So that is not crash, it's called something else. Stimulants microinjector. Boink, and one more. Here we go. Boink and boink. Oh, hold on. What? Book of Cain? Perfect. Our rousing speech has been heard. Wow, okay, so what do we have currently in the battle space? Nothing. Nada. Jack shit. Okay, we have Vanguard, Gaka, Laga, Sasha, Cratchit. Kind of want another damn Vanguard. Just go out there and kill. Bodega is probably the more sensible option with its stealth. It's easier to operate with just one soul. The bridge is being walled off. I actually love to see that. Very smart idea. Okay. To every soldier a vanguard. Or a bodega. Let's get a bodega spawned. Do we have ship guns? Oh, an anti-material rifle. Oh, yes, please. Oh, yes, please. What is that millimeter? 15.2. 15.2. Okay, that's just to restore.
Dasnanavahue verification said, don't pick Vanguard, pick Crush It. It's funkier.
Crush It? It's funkier? That's so true. Do we have ammunition for these? Buy Cain more anti-material magazines. 15.2 x 169. Hold on, I don't know what Cain is. Hold on, let me just scream at them a little bit. Here we go. Alright, my role as a commissar aide is done. Okay, do we have 15.2, is it? Yes, packets. But only one. That is very funny. One, two, three, four. I'm so greedy. So greedy. Yummers. Okay, so we need to get our Cratchit online because someone requested it, and I love taking what the chat tells me and doing it. Let us win the day. I do not think we are going to have much time to do this, so we need to work now. I left it upstairs. Gosh, dang it. I'm silly. There it is. Catch it. Here we go. Cratchit 489. That is... We have a deer Clementine there. Lovely. We are going to need more ammunition for the Cratchit, because I want to be kind of standoffish and be an asshole, more or less. Pelt the shit out of things, just from afar with our Cratchit. And then once we are disabled, we can use our mech, get in close, and wreak havoc. That is the idea, but will we actually manage to do it? I have absolutely no damn clue. We'll have to see.
Damn, I watched Technoblade long time ago. Checked him now and he's
Technoblade.
hacking dead. It's so
Yeah,
bad.
it is unfortunate. I watched Technoblade a lot. I also watched his streams. I was heartbroken when I learned the news, but that is unfortunate. It is what happened. Alright, eject out of our mech there. We have 20mm Vulcan, 20mm Vulcan. Let's get some spare ammo, and let's also set down our suit here so we can move a bit faster. Get our equipment in. 20mm Vulcan. I'm sure that's going to be right in the ammo store right here. 20mm, 20mm, 20mm. Nope, here we go. 1, 2. And 3, 4. Actually, we might want to get another one.
Rockets with SMTH. I doubt there will be nice ammo for it.
Alright. We had enough admin abuse with wanting to get a remnant roll and getting asked about it. So I'm going to let the admin slide and not ask for special missile pods. That would be kind of crazy. I'm just happy with what I've got here. We're gonna have some fun, alright? Fun. Do we need anything else? We have 1+1 reload. I'm going to be a little bit more greedy and grabbed. No, let's make sure they have some. Alright. Let's get our ship loaded, our hard suit on. We have our oxygen in the tank here. Not much, but it will do for our case. Hades suit on. Mask up. This, grab this, and load 1. Load 2. 1 and 2. Have it next to my seat, ready to go. Are they bolted? Open bolt. Okay, they are ready to go. The Cratchit need a second. Like by D12 to authorize itself. Second, it's a one-man show on these. Alright. No, okay. Let's see what we have on the scanner. What are they fielding? Okay. Be aware. ESM are fielding at this moment a rolling reverie. I do not know what that ship is. And a Duchess. Expect black. Black and lots of it. Be aware of red dots on IFF. Those are large missiles. If you have PD, shoot it. If you do not, move out of its damn way. There we go. Okay. DSM are fielding a IFF-less ship. Valeska PD, if you use your map feature on the console, you can peer through it and get black on target before you visually see them. Alright. Put the thruster back on the countsman. We want to hear on Valeska. Alright. Okay, so the current plan is going to be to harass ships and try to get attention away from our heavy hitters like the Dear Clementine. And as soon as we are disabled, we are going to be doing a boarding action with our mech. Or, if the Dear Clementine gets boarded, we are going to be assisting them with our mech, because it is very strong. As soon as our mech is disabled, we'll switch to our anti-material rifle, because in that case, they likely have some big guns of their own. I want to have a bigger one. Dear Clementine has undocked from the station. I will follow them. Actually, Kurosawa's. Ooh, hold on. Let me get my Kurosawa's. I completely forgot about the damn missiles on this ship. I need to grab that in quickly. We will make it quick. If they start fighting, we will immediately sally back out. That's just a prerogative. Okay. So Kurosawa's. I do not know the millimeter of that. Probably not any of these. We're just going to go right back out. Alright, let's go. Core 296 of the New Crescent Workers League. You have chosen death. Your kind, vermin as you are now on course for extinction. You won't have the privilege of serving me, bowing my mighty throne and banner. Alright. I pissed him off, guys. Indeed. Dear Clementine has opened fire already? Is that so? Are we shelling the hell out of him? I'm happy to see that. Clementine, shell the shit out of them. I do not know how far those guns go, but if we want, that's what we want. I got kicked off the port guns. Why? How was I kicked off the port guns? I have no idea. Alright. Any movement on their side? Let's take a quick cursory peek. No, they have not undocked. Okay. I'm assuming these are not going to be loaded. Just fine. Yeah, okay, that's fine. Just... If you kill people, good Senator, I don't think we'll care if you heal people bad. Alright. Everyone who doesn't know where to put themselves, grab Vanguard or Cratchit. Cratchit is better. Okay. Move forward a little bit. Scale them. What is the range on that butte gun of yours? Clementine. Gonna do border duty, okay. Else. Fan-fucking-tastic. Is that the new one or the old one? I'm going to try to do a little bit of... You now commit Ultra War. Understood. Okay.
Super Fez guy said, it's that time again.
It's that time. Okay, I am going to make some space for the heavy guns on that Dear Clementine. Okay. Light ships. We want...
It's that time
extract out of those ships once they sally forth. Don't let them get close to the Clementine. Alright. Sorry, what did you say in the chat there? I need to double check. Is that time again? Oh no, am I going to be drowned in the middle of a fight here? Oh shit, okay. 8 million hydrations. I only have so much water left in my jug here, come on.
Lightly waterboarded.
Oh. Oh. Wow. Okay, if there is going to be that case where... Oh my god, more. Don't drink water and drive. Okay. If we have vendors now for ammunition... Oh my god. I'm not even going to put the cap back on. I'm going to have it ready. Okay, let's get our rocket pods there. Okay. Truck suit off so we can move fast.
I'm not being that mean.
Fair enough, fair enough.
You're getting into combat.
At least in like 3 seconds. I need Kurosawas. What millimeter are they? Are they, believe, 48? 48. It might be. Kurosawas. They are 48 millimeter. Fantastic. I love that book so much. Okay, we need a duffel bag, which we can grab from the commissary over here. Yes, yes. Okay. D-U-F-F-E-L. Grab. Okay. We want to fill this duffel bag full of rockets. Clem needs 320. Okay, understood. Need 48 assault rocket. 8 million of these. Can I like double up on this real quick? Hold on. Here we go. That's the speed. Okay. Get 320mm shells into duffels and get them to the Clementine. Artillery is our way of life as is Kane. Okay. Okay, more assault rockets. Here we go. This is the good shit. And just like that, we have a full duffel bag of rockets. Let's get this up to our Cretchet. Then we need a shit ton of 320. I'm assuming Clementine is still there? Yes, it is. Okay. Very good. Now we need another duffel bag of 320. 320. IFF is going to Baleska. Fuck, we do not have much time left then. In fact, so I might just need to get onto the Baleska now. Okay. The steps with Bodega? Buy time. Oh, okay. Fair enough. We do still have shields. 320. Okay, that does not do it. But do they have commissionary? 320. Nope. Oh, in that case, let's go and load up. Hell yeah. Now at 2 kilometer range. Fuck. Okay. We need to get off of our Cretchet now. Okay, let's get back into our hard suits and load the hell out of our rocket pods. Is it already loaded? Is this not... What? 48mm. 48mm. Is this the wrong one? That is unfortunate. Okay. Fuck. Okay. We'll keep going. This is more important that we are out in the fight. Screams indeed. Yeah, let's harass this IFF ship then. What the hell is that? I don't know. Okay, off on air. Oh boy, okay. Okay, what is that going to be? Who knows? Gotta check it out though. Probably the Duchess. Let's distract the hell out of it, right? There we go. Here's the flag. Scream away. They have a magnet. Ooh, we are in the crossfire. We are in the crossfire. Okay. Let's get sideways. Ow! How bad was that? We're fine. We're good. We'll live. If anything, we're a good distraction for a little bit. Someone used Baliska PD. Oh shit. On our ship or something? Okay, they are moving out in force. It's coming from Baliska. What the hell? Our bodega has been hit there. Oh, shots coming in at us. Shots in. Oh boy. Screening fire. Nope, that's the Clementine. Don't shoot him. We have a Garget. Get some drones out. That would be nice. Oh boy, okay. This might be a DSM victory. I am getting worried here. Okay, we'll see what we can do. Alright. Okay, let's go out for the Magnate. Magnate is there. Screening fire. Who knows if that is to good effect. Let's get into a knife fight, eh? There we go. Good shots, good shots. Shields are back up. Let's back off then. Ow! Got backing off. Ooh, altar cores. Anchor. Oh! Power is out. Okay, seems like our time in here is over. Into the mech. Okay, let's get out and start going, shall we? Oxygen on. Through the hole in the wall. And out we go. Okay. Let's go say hi to the Magnate. It might have been disabled with all that punishment we gave it. Let's go see if that is true, shall we? Whew. There we are being fired at. That's fine. Okay, it is slow, but we are moving. We are just in course. Good. Three NT scouts. No way. Remnants are back? Shit. Hold on. There's something. Does this not have a jetpack anymore? I'm concerned. Okay, we might just have to bail. Presumably, we do have propulsion because we can still see movement here. I'll keep going just for now. Baleska disappeared? Did Baleska vanish? What's with the IFF? Oh. Okay. Nice quiet time now, I suppose. some shots, of course. We are getting closer, it's just going to take a little bit. Alright, that's fine. I do see that we are disconnected from Valeska, so the fight did leave Valeska. That's good. There's the Ibis. Auto Scout. You're getting close to the dear Clementine. I would love to help it. Help it out. Okay. Seems our borders are on Valeska. Okay. So if we can, we want to get onto Valeska to help with the mech. We'll do what we can to just get back, period, though. Especially since I don't know how long this is going to last. Yeah, 6, okay.
Wyatt
More than I
1016
thought.
said, how's this VTube and stuff work?
How does this VTube and stuff work? That is a good question. A little bit of transmogrification, some spell casting, and installing software as well as getting art set up. Those last two things are mostly what you should do. I mean, I can chat to you about it here soon, I'm sure. But first, we need to take care of this. We're getting closer to the suzerain. Arms are no longer safe. Understood. Okay. Time to be quiet. At least on the comms side. We are back in normal space. That's good. Okay. Now the good stream decision will probably be to actually just ghost and then commentate over the rest of the round, but I want to see, honestly, if I can get back or not. Because we are a lot closer than we first started. It's only been a little bit. Alright, so I was not sure if I was going to be here to stream today. My sleep has been very wacky. I'm happy I'm here at all to share this lovely few rounds with y'all. And what interesting rounds they've been, eh? Alaska, 2.5. Duchess is now that close. Isn't that exciting? Okay. Oh yeah, we're getting in speed on it. Okay. If we can board the Duchess and do a bunch of damage, that would be pretty cool. I don't have... Fuck. Alright, then I guess we have the mech suit and that's what we'll have to work with. Fair enough, I suppose. If we can capture all of these ships anyways, we can get back to Valeska. Pretty good. Is that auto scout coming from me? Maybe. Maybe. Here we go. 350. There it is. Look at that son of a bitch. Hell yeah. Let's get on board and start saying hello. We are selected. Combat mode is... Hold on. Let's figure out. There we go. 4. Okay. And on we are. Let's shoot the shit out of them now. 4. Lag spike. Destroy these thrusters. Yes, please hold still. Thank you. I need to find a different entrance. That's fine. We can make that work. I saw them there for a moment. Ooh, here we go, an entrance. Here we go. There they are. I approach, and my will is inevitable. By the NCWL and by Kane, I will defeat you. Oh, and I'm out. Whoop! Whoop! Woo! Alright. I'm happy with that. Scare the shit out of her a little bit. I'm happy. I'm happy. Okay, let's see. How is the lovely Baleskea? Valeska is quiet but seemingly operational. Has the bridge been taken? Oh, I'm flipped. No? What? What happened to... What direction am I in? Ah, here we go. Bridge is secure. We have... Okay. Have another soul there. We seem to be good. Ghost walls. What's going on with that? Okay, fair enough. Let's do a roll call on all ships, Okay. Duchess. Disabled. Ibis. Ibis, okay. Janissary. Being obliterated. Janissary. Gone. Magnate. Gone. Magnate. Gone. Okay, Suzerain. Quiet. Seems to be fine. Okay. Bodega disabled. Oh, boarded. Firefight. Heaven Cat 6-7 winning the fight. Okay, one-on-one. Get his ass. There you go. Well done. Well done. Next up, dear Clementine, how are you feeling? Clementine is in an uncontrollable spin with its front torn to hell and back. Unfortunate to see. It is how it is. Garget. Holy hell. Wow. Okay. Moving on. Cratchit. Destroyed, yes. Sasha. Sasha is operational and in dock with crew? Okay. Alright. Hammerhead. Hammerhead is alive? Who the hell? Who are you? Interesting. Ramming, yes. Is this what I think it is? Oh, yes, please. What it looks like is we have a lovely bit of ramming action to hit the lovely countsman in just a few seconds. Keep going. Oh, no, we're just going for a straight fight. Okay. Get his ass. Is there anyone actually manning the PD here? Getting closer. Some random shots still around. That bodega is doing work cleaning up any ships out and about. Here we go. Oh, stray shots, barely missing. Do they have ammo? Yes, they do. Very good. Strafing the hell out of the ships in the dock. Perfect. That is what I like to see. Oh, Laylips has woken up. Ramming speed. Into the dock. No damage, though. Okay. I guess the shield worked. How is the Laylips doing? Let's take a peek. Laylips has not taken meaningful damage, it appears. Hammerhead is he going to be boarding? That's my next question. Whoa! Here we go, there's all the flak. Will he get out? Yes, he will. Oh, PD is opening up, though. Okay, I do not know if they're going to be able to actually manage to get on. Perhaps if you go through the magnate, through the dock there, the bodega is slamming into it as well. Hopefully doing good damage. Yup, here we go. Very good. You'll love to see it. You'll love to see it. Okay, it's being eaten up by the shields. If you can get in... Oh, shields are down! Bodega can do full damage now. Being torn up into the side. Look at that. Some light ramming damage. Mostly damage to the bodega itself. But this is a harassment that if these DSM ships do not respond... Oh, there they go! They have responded to the bodega and done massive damage. Are they going to be able to actually escape from the ship onto the Countsman? There you go. Heaven Cat 6-7. We saw them prove themselves earlier with a fight there. They don't seem to know what to do, the traps. Seemingly. And off they go. They do have a jetpack in order for greater mobility. Let's follow them in. Will they be able to get past the PD or perhaps board one of the Laylips and turn the guns on the Countsman? These Hyperwar rounds typically end in a very confident win for either side. Here, it appears to be much more balanced. This is a very even fight between these two factions today. Very interesting. Okay. Border on the Laylips, one of the destroyers of the DSM Navy, and they will have to prove themselves. Who do we have here? John Star Sector. Will the Star Sector win against Hullrot here with the NCWL? Who's to say? We already know this person has one kill on the mark. Oh! And there we go. The Lancer obliterated the spleen of this lovely NCWL Heaven Cat 6-7. And that will end the boarding action on the DSM's Laylips. Okay, moving on to the next one. Let's hop back over to Balareska and notice we have no ships in the docks. Let's check out on everyone north of here, since that is where the bulk of the fighting is. Alright, hold on. Alright, let's just do a warp. I know we had a Sasha operational on the NCWL side, and here we are. They are right up against the Countsman again. 4 souls stand alone against the Countsman. Power is fading. Huge shots in from, I presume, the Laylips and the Countsman? Nope, just the Countsman. boarding teams are arriving on. However, PD is punishing the attempts. Alright, 2 souls remain on the Sasha. Power has returned, but the AME is out. Oh, here we go. We have 1 soul here, braving the PD fire accountsman. Approaching, getting closer. Oh, unfortunate. They do not manage to get onto the countsman. We have Kira Ven here. Wow, using that lovely claw meta, perhaps? Interesting. Interesting. The countsman has quieted its guns, though. Interesting, interesting. Oh? Shot out. Oh, we have another soul here trapped in the wall. PD. The NCWL gun wins against the PD ship gun. Incredible. But this has seemingly reawoken the counselor's desire to snuff out the Sasha here. Interesting, interesting. Oh, they have recovered them. And they are still in the wall here. Still in the wall. Do we have anyone else on board? I do not see as such. Oh? Explosive? Oh no, Miriam! Ooh. You survived! Well done! How are you still alive? Come on, there you go, got another soul. Well done. No, oh, Suzerain has just been spawned from the DSM Countsman. This is a very large and capable ship in the right hands. We saw one in the last round when we were playing as the Neo-Trazens. Oh, we have a boarder here, Corvetto Francisco Balthazar. Boom! Kira Ven immediately shot the shit out of Corvetto with... I'm not unsure what weapon. But it doesn't matter at this point. They are done. They do have a hard suit here, right? If they steal this hard suit, they can board about the countsman here. As a viable strategy here in order to get past the IFF of those turrets. All is free in love and Hyperwar, okay? Miriam has freed themselves, so Laylips has returned. Okay, but they are disabled. Interesting. I do not think the Laylips knows about what has happened here on this Sasha. It could be completely unaware. Kira Ven is my first victim. Well done on your first kill. May there be many, many more. What are they doing? Are they healing them? What are they doing? Where did the countsman go? What? How did that happen? We'll take a quick peek over here. Where did the countsman go? C-O-U-N-T. Countsman. What the hell? Something odd has happened here. Something unbelievable. Well, if we have the ability, let's respawn back into the round and see if we can't shift the fight at all. Unless, let's just hold on for a moment. Holding. Alright, very well. Let's rejoin. Alright. Join. Commissar aid. Are there borders? What's going on? Hmm? Okay. Interesting. Okay. Hades. Get that on as soon as we can. That is going to be our lifeline. Next up, gun. Let's get a L6. Always a fantastic choice. What? Okay. Hold on. Does that accept that magazine? Hold on. I want to see what magazine does this accept. 100-round box. Fair enough. Okay, not in that. 100. Nope. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Interesting. Okay, we'll keep moving. We'll use a different gun then. The Britannia? Bargeist. Bargeist. Then 5.5. No, that's actually a larger caliber. 12.7. God, I can't see anything under all this crap. The NCWL is declaring victory. Interesting, interesting. I don't know if we should do that quite yet, but okay, I like the energy that we're putting out. Okay, and Mechanite injector gun. Okay, close bold, open storage, move this over here. Let's get a Cretchet. Oh, that's a Garget. Damn. I have enough money. I can believe I can just head over here. Vanguard's also a very good choice. Hold on. They're taking shots. Interesting. Hold on, I have the perfect thing for this. There we go. That'll take care of that. Uh-huh. We are taking very hard hits. Jetpack, and let's get the hell out of here. Suzerain crashing in. Oh, and that's my Vanguard destroyed. Prepare for borders. I'm preparing for the worst. Okay. They were hit in the center dock. Pay attention. Okay, okay. Allied, allied. Looking out into space. I don't see anyone. Okay, let's take a look at our, what's it called? Mass scanner. It's still out there. There's an ibis that's trying to approach. Do not think we are safe anywhere here. Oh, the round ended. Okay, fair enough. And that will end our lovely Hyperwar rounds for today. I believe that will end it for today. I don't think there'll be another one. Hold on. Ow. I'm not worrying about that. I'm taking a picture of the chat there because I believe there might be a little bit of exploitation going on. Naughty, not good. Okay, with the end of that, I am going to be ending the round. I'm tired, boss. I can't do another round of this. My throat's starting to get real sore. I've been commentating my ass off. Alright. Whether or not a third round happens, I am going to raid y'all out to another streamer. Hopefully there is another Space Station 14 one out there. Let's take a quick peek. Hold on. Please hold. There is indeed a PNG tuber. Let's quickly get their username here. I will see y'all with the next host. Hope you all have a fantastic day, alright? And I will see you all on the flip side as soon as we r/raid channel put this in. I will see y'all probably just on the Discord. I'll be chatting. This VOD will absolutely be made into a new video on the channel. I hope to see you all soon. Have a good night.